Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to my channel. Third week in a row being consistent. I know, you're so lucky. Hopefully you can hear me okay, because I have just been messing about with the settings of my microphone because I've never actually touched any of the buttons on it before. So fingers crossed you can hear me. If it is better or worse, please do let me know, because I am trying to make it sound decent. I'm also hoping I'm in an okay position as well, because I checked like 4 times and nothing seemed to be making it look any better. But it is what it is. So I hope everyone's had a fabulous week. Mine has been alright. I've got a really good week next week, or this week. I've also been really good and I have made myself a crime diary so I can keep track of all the scripts that I've got, all the scripts that need rewriting, cases that I want to write about, and scripts that I'm in the middle of writing that I need to finish, because I feel like I just need to be more organised with everything. I have gone through and sorted out my file and I found this, right? This is full of just like Wikipedia printouts, so I need to look into those at some point as well. But I've got pretty much the whole day reserved today to do filming and other bits, because I want to get a few weeks ahead of myself so I do have some more time to write half decent scripts, as I've just thrown out about 10 because they don't make any sense. Speaking of making no sense, today's case that I'm covering is a script. I think it's one of the first scripts I ever wrote. This is the case that got me really into true crime. There used to be a show on ID, I think, called Killer Kids, and I'd go around my friend's house. I think it was on every Tuesday night, and we'd watch Killer Kids. We were obsessed with it, and that's what really got me into true crime. So today I'm going to be talking about the case of Joshua Phillips. Trigger warnings for this case. This case does involve the death of a child, so if that's something you don't want to listen to or hear about at the moment, totally get that. I will see you for another case. Content warning, as always, strong language. Joshua Earl Patrick Phillips was born on March 17th, 1984. Josh was the son of Steve and Melissa Phillips, and he grew up in Pennsylvania. Josh's dad, Steve, was described as a drug addict and an alcoholic, and he was said to have been very violent towards Melissa and Josh, and they both lived in constant fear of him. Because of this, Steve imposed very strong rules in their household, and one of the rules was that they weren't allowed other kids to come in the house. And Steve bizarrely had a really strong dislike towards young girls. Melissa came out later on and said she had no idea why he disliked young girls so much, because it's a bit weird. In November of 1998, Josh was 14 years old and he was living in Jacksonville, Florida with his family. Neighbours described Josh as quiet and friendly, and a few people in the neighbourhood said they had no reason to fear Josh whatsoever. One of his school teachers described him as popular and a student who didn't really stand out. She also said he was fun and silly. Josh had no history of violence, crimes, or anything of the sort prior to the murder. On November 3rd, 1998, according to Josh, he was home alone with a younger girl from the neighbourhood called Maddie Clifton. She had come over to his house and asked him to play baseball outside with her, which he agreed to. Even though Josh knew he was not allowed other kids in his house, especially because no one else was home, but they went into their garden and started playing baseball. As the two of them were playing baseball, Josh accidentally hit the ball into Maddie's eye, which caused her to start screaming, crying, and bleeding. Josh panicked quite a lot about this, and obviously this is all just coming from Josh's point of view as to what happened. And he said that he panicked because he knew his dad Steve would be home soon, and he knew he was not allowed kids in the house. So he decided to drag Maddie into the house, into his bedroom, and he said that whilst he was dragging her, the lower part of her clothes came off as she was being dragged. Josh then hit her again with the baseball bat and stuffed her under his bed. Shortly after this, Steve did return home from work, and Josh came out, interacted with him for a while, and then eventually returned to his room. When he got into his room, he realised that Maddie was still alive under the bed, as she was making kind of like moaning noises. So Josh pulled her back out of the bed, and in order to shut her up, I guess, decided to slit her throat and stab her several times. He did this with a tool from a Leatherman knife. I will post pictures around me, but this obviously did kill Maddie. Maddie was reported missing by her mum around 5 p.m. that day, and that was then the start of a 6-day search, which Josh actually participated in, which is just so very wrong. Josh then stated to the police later on that he was living in a state of denial during this. He stated that this was a form of a defence mechanism for him, and he said that he never chose to ignore things, he just did it. On November 10th, Melissa Phillips went into Josh's room and she noticed a wet spot on the floor. Now, a thing to note is that Josh had a waterbed, so she just assumed that the bed was leaking. So the way he got Melissa under the bed and hidden in the bed that no one could see is there was kind of like a board around it. So you have to kind of take the board off to get to the space under the bed, and that's obviously where Melissa was. Not Melissa, Maddie. As soon as Melissa pulled this away, the part of the bed away, she found Maddie's body and she immediately went outside, called the police, which I think is so good. I mean, you would think that's just like the natural thing to do, but you'd be surprised a lot of mothers that would be in this situation would try and talk to their sons first and things like that, try and figure out before they actually then turn them into the police. So Josh was arrested at school and within a few hours he'd confessed to the murder. Prosecutors disputed quite a few parts of Josh's story and suggested that there was a sexual motive to the crime, hence Maddie didn't have the lower part of her clothes on. Supposedly Josh had spoke to Maddie and her sisters as well about sexual matters prior to the murder. The autopsy that was conducted on Maddie's body didn't find any evidence of sexual assault. However, they did dispute that Maddie was dragged from the outside into the house because there was no mud, no dirt, anything on her or her clothes. So that bit of the story didn't quite add up. Prosecutors also noticed that there was no blood outside at all. So again, his story doesn't make a whole lot of sense that she was bleeding, crying and everything outside because there was no blood to support this. For the trial, Josh was tried as an adult despite being 14 at the time of the murder. And they did actually change where the trial was meant to be held because they were worried about bias due to the publicity surrounding this case. The trial started on July 6, 1999 and only lasted 2 days. This is very, very short, but the defence decided not to call any witnesses to the stand, which is probably why it was so short. It took jurors just 2 hours to convict Josh of first-degree murder. Josh was later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, and he was not eligible for the death penalty due to being under 16 years old. In 2008, Josh wrote a letter to Maddie's family expressing how sorry he was and saying that he wanted to see them in person because they would not get the sincerity of his apology through a letter. And Maddie's family simply responded saying they had absolutely no desire to meet him or hear anything he has to say. And that is the case of Josh Phillips. It was a super duper duper quick one. I would recommend going to watch Killer Kids. It is such a good show. I mean, it's probably very bloody old now, but it's very, very good. And the way they do it is captivating. So I definitely recommend watching it. I can't believe how quick that was. That's the quickest case I've done so far. So, positive thought of the day. It's the 1st of September. No, it's not. It's the 1st of December today. So I got to open my calendar today, so I'm super, super stoked about that. I got Made by Mitchell advent calendar and I'm buzzing with myself for getting it. I have ordered me and my mum some new glasses today and I'm so excited for them to arrive because I have actually got millions of pairs of glasses. There's another one in here somewhere, so I was wearing them. I've got so many pairs of glasses, but I hate them all. These ones I can't see long distance in. These ones make me look old. These ones, this dangly bit does my head in, and they're just an irritating shape, and I hate these things on the nose. They really irritate me. So I've actually got some beautiful glasses come in from Firmu, so I'm very, very excited about that. That's my positive thought of the day. So I am gonna put a different top on and film some more videos, but I hope everyone is having a wonderful December, and I will see you next week. Make good choices, don't get murdered. Love you, bye. Ow, that's upsetting. No, I swear it's in my back. I've lost my phone. Everything I own is covered in stickers. I really need to go see Wicked. I really need I need like an assistant that will be my friend, that will just come to all the shit that I want to see with me. Ooh.